Now, my wife is here, so I have to be careful how I tell this story because, you know, I just should give a disclaimer. This was all BK before Karen, all right? And this was, and clearly, although I thought I was in love when I tell you the story, I didn't even know what it was until I met her. Right? Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm good now, right? I'm covered. When I was 16, though, once, for probably the first time in my life, when I was 16, I fell in love. I need another empathetic sigh right there. I fell in love. Thank you. Yeah, we've connected. Her name was Janet. She sang in a band I played in. She was our lead singer. She was talented. She was funny. She was, you know, very bright and good singer. And so, and I ended up I was a pretty big boy. I was at the time about 6'3", 6'4", weighed about 230, and I was kind of the bouncer for the band. So guys would come up and hit on her when we go play different gigs, and I would be the one who'd have to tell them to, you know, take a hike. And after a while, there was sort of this protective thing that happened, and I definitely was infatuated, and so I decided I would impress her, and what I would do is what any self-respecting 16-year-old would do, you know, falling in love with somebody whose dad was a pig farmer. I became a pig farmer. So every day after school, I would go over after, you know, I got my homework done, and sometimes even before, and I would slop hogs, I would feed hogs, I would carry stuff out to, you know, all for free, mind you. So you can see the S for sucker forming here. Right? And I would do this every day. I remember they had these big 50-gallon milk jugs, and we would fill them with water because there was no running water in the pole barn behind the main barn. So I would fill them up and carry it out there, and because I was big and I was trying to show off, I would fill 2 of them and carry them. And at that time, I was a little bigger here than I am now. And I would carry them out to and strut. So she would, you know, notice. And she never paid any attention at all, never said a word. Half the time I looked, she wasn't even looking, until one day, one glorious day, she came running over to me as I'm carrying these big milk cans, and she says, "Hey, Joel, why are you going the long way around?" And I didn't want to tell her why, really, because I was trying to get her to notice me. So I said, "Oh," and she says, "Well, you know, it's a lot quicker if you go through there." Now through there, the way she pointed was this giant swill hole, this huge pond of pig manure and urine and muck and mud and slop. But I had knee boots on, and it didn't look like it was more than ankle deep, so I said, "Oh, okay, thanks." And so I picked up the milk cans, and I started walking through, and now she's watching. She's watching every move. In fact, she's smiling and waving. So I'm strutting, she's smiling and waving. I'm strutting, she's waving and smiling back. And there was only one little thing she forgot to mention to me, one little detail she left out. And that is, in the middle of this pond of swill, there was a 6-foot long, about 7-foot deep hole. And I was headed right for it. So I'm walking along, strutting my stuff. She's waving and smiling, waving and smiling. Sure enough, I walked right into it. I mean, I was baptized, completely submerged. I went up and filled my pores, filled my pockets, filled my boots. I'm spitting out. I mean, it just never. I reeked for weeks after. I couldn't get it out, you know, out of my skin. It was just awful. Nobody would let me in their car, so I had to walk like 3 or 4 miles home. When I got there, my mom's standing in the front yard because apparently her mama had called my mama to warn her about what happened. I get to the front yard, my mom says, "Don't even think about coming in my house with those clothes on." I said, "Mom, what do you want me to do?" She said, "It's naked or homeless, pal. Your choice." I said, "What do you mean? I want me to? I'm 16. I can't." She said, "You either take them off or you stay outside." So I ran around behind a tree, stripped down into my nothings and my birthday suit. And when there was no cars, because we lived in the country, thankfully, boom, around the house. So I'm the first streaker. I started the trend. I want credit. Okay. So I tell you all that because people ask me. They say, "Well, did you drop her? Were you done it? I mean, she played you for a fool. I mean, you know, you fell in pig manure of all things." And my answer, no, of course not. Why? Why would I? I was in love. What's a little pig poo between friends? I mean, come on. When you've made a heart connection with people, right? Good or bad. When you have that connection, though, people will go through stuff with you. They'll put up with your foibles and your mistakes and your faux pas. And so the question is, how do you make that connection? I think there are 3 things. John Maxwell teaches this. There are 3 things that people ask when they meet us, or when they hear us speak, if we're professional speakers, or we just get a chance to share in public. 3 questions that everybody asks. I'm going to tell you what the questions are, and just quickly, obviously you want to get a yes answer to all 3 of these. I'll touch on maybe 1 or 2 things you can do to help give that yes answer, but our workshops focus on that. So a lot of times we'll spend a whole day on how to answer these 3 questions. But let me give you the questions first. First thing people ask when they meet you or me is, do you care? Do you care about me? Now, people say, well, tell us how to give that impression. Tell us how to create that connection. Tell us how to connect with the heart and the mind, both. Tell us how to do that. And I always say, you can't fake it till you make it in this case. You cannot just pretend to care. If you don't care, people will see through it. Techniques are great, and you can learn those, but you got to start with an honest concern and valuing of human beings. If you don't care about people, you can't pull this off. But if you do care, you can communicate that in a lot of different ways, including how you listen, reflective listening, and some of the other skills, okay? That's the first question. Do you care about me? The second one is, can I trust you? Can I really trust you? Now we live in a day and age where trust is hard to find because we're lied to constantly. We're lied to in commercials, we're lied to by politicians, we're lied to in the media in general, aren't we? We all know that. When they say, we were talking about a commercial this morning with a couple of the guys, I've heard this one 100 times, at such and such eye care center, we care about you. And I'm thinking, now who listens to that and thinks, yeah, if I walk in there, they're going to go, oh, Marcus, I'm so glad you came in. We've been waiting for this day. How can we bless your life, Marcus? We know that's not going to happen. And as soon as we're done with whatever procedure, see ya, they don't care. And we know that. They want our money. They want our insurance, or both, right? That's the way it is. But they say they care, and so we hear it, but we become jaded, don't we? It's difficult to build trust, but one of the little things I tell people is, if you're vulnerable, you're going to go a long way toward building trust. Why? Because people are used to being lied to. They're used to people putting on the suit and the tie and talking very professionally and acting like they really care for old Rick here, right? And so when someone does that, they're like, oh yeah, watch out, and their guard is up. But when you share your own mistakes, your own struggles, your own issues, and I don't mean inappropriately, but when you're more open, people tend to say, oh, okay, he's one of us, or she's one of us, all right. Mitt Romney, another mentor of mine, Steve Siebold, was an unofficial, what would you call him, a consultant to the Romney campaign. And he kept saying to them, you need to spill some coffee on this guy. You need to mess up his tie. You need to mess up his hair, do something, because he comes across like a Ken doll. He looks too perfect, he's too rich, they don't trust him, and they're not going to vote for him. And they said, oh, it's okay, Mr. Siebold, we appreciate your input, but we've got this. I think we all know the outcome, right? In fact, in exit polls, repeatedly, across multiple states, they asked the question, who do you think better understands and can relate to your situation, Barack Obama or Mitt Romney? 80+% said Barack Obama. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't think Barack Obama relates to someone who's in poverty living on the street somewhere in Hartford. Okay? I don't mean that to be an insult, I'm just saying he's never been there, right? But people's perception was that he does because of the way he communicated. Mitt Romney, on the other hand, communicated like, he had it all together, and they thought, either that's not true and you're just putting on a facade, or it is true, in which case you can't connect with me and I don't trust you. So can I trust you is huge. Third question is, can you help me? Now the can you help me question isn't just, are you going to do good things or provide a good product for me? The can you help me question means, will knowing you and spending time with you make me a better person? And there are some ways you can do that in terms of sharing expertise, sharing information, sharing life experiences. It kind of goes back to vulnerability because you're opening up about things you've been through, such that people realize, okay, yeah, maybe if I spend some time with so-and-so, it'll raise the bar a little bit for me. That's a good thing. If we can answer those questions, do you care about me? Can I trust you? Can you help me? With a resounding yes, we will make connections that last a lifetime and that really add value to people's lives.